Hi, my name is Willan Ziada, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and also proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with a Renaissance man in the music biz, the producer and artist, Jake Palumbo. For more on Jake, you can read more about him right below this video, but in the meantime, here's just a sneak peek at the amazing talent of the one and only Jake Palumbo.
For more than 6,000 years, the art of cutting hair has been practiced as a craft.
Is this haircut money? When the PayPal hits, I go and get a $50 haircut. When the PayPal hits and I make my hits and I make my chips and I eat my grits and I blaze my pip, I go and get a $50 haircut. Razor finish, great precision. I'm the kind of jerk to do a song to let you know I got a $50 haircut. Everywhere I go, they asking who my plug, who I'm buzz. Man, I really wish I had your $50 haircut. 30 plus, I'm dirty hush. Thank you very much. I'm just a handsome hillbilly with a $50 haircut. Clapbacks will wax my passion. Snapbacks are not my fashion. With a mop like this, you get top like this and whop. It's lots of action. Riptide, no Joe Penny. Play the cheese, room temperature Henny. Polo on credit, my preference is met. Reckless, so I call it leveraging debt. Phone bill I pay to pass through. Don't recall nobody asked you. You can bet on yourself too, but you don't have the cash. You, if she thick and she listen to dubstep, I'm coming over with a plan B. One step closer to piles of paper. When he cut my fade, please mind the taper. Factuals.
Well, hello, Jake. How are you?
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Jake, I'm so excited that the audience has got only a little sneak peek of your amazing talent. Jake, you are a Renaissance man. You are an award-winning producer, MC, recording, mixing engineer. You're a DJ, you're a humorist, you wear so many hats, and I want to know, when you were a kid, young little Jake skipping about town, what was that inspiration that drew you first and foremost to music specifically?
I had the misfortune, depending on how you look at it, of being born in Tennessee, before the advent of the internet. So growing up in a place which was like really disconnected from a lot of the major cities and stuff like that, and not having a handheld device to keep me occupied at all times. You know, where I grew up, like, you need to find something to occupy yourself with pretty quick. So I've always had an obsessive personality, but, you know, even from the earliest age, you know, seeing old footage of, you know, the Beatles on Ed Sullivan or you know, all these things really planted a seed in me of being obsessive over music. It was a way that, you know, I could express myself, and also I'm the kind of person that, like, when I'm interested in something, I need to know every micro detail about how it operates. And in music, there's just an endless amount of trivia and stylistic differences and, you know, a lot to keep yourself occupied with. But you know, I banged on instruments and made really bad music as a kid and as a teen, and, you know, just kind of never gave it up, you know, until over a very strenuous period of about 12 years, made it into a career. But no, I've just always had an obsessive personality and needed to keep myself occupied, and music's been it since I was a youngster. So,
well, Jake, what I love also so much about you is that you have this unapologetic nature and fire about you, but it seems like beginning as a kid, it was just a necessity, you know. And the fact of the matter is, you're not only an amazing musician and a producer and a personality, you're incredibly funny, and I'm curious to know where this funny bone comes from.
I don't. I wish I knew. The thing is, and I think the best comedy starts out this way, is I don't always intentionally set out to make people laugh. Like, usually it's just my observations of how I see the world. And I've always had a flair for the ridiculousness, like for the absurd. I've always liked, you know, pointing out details that people might have missed. And, you know, I've always had an irreverence since I was very young. When I was a kid, you know, I would question grown-ups all the time. And, you know, it's one of those things that it's really just me calling the world like I see it. I'm also a firm believer that if you do not laugh, that you're going to cry. And also,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say also, I think that that's really important in breaking through to an audience, because if I can make you laugh first, there's a comfort zone that comes after that. And I can slip in a little bit of knowledge and social commentary and that kind of stuff by breaking the ice with humor. I've just always found it a good icebreaker.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, because I think it's with your humor and your committed fortitude to truth that makes you funny, because it's probably an observation that people might even have, but maybe are a little afraid to talk about. And so basically you're providing for them a safe haven right away, setting the terms. As a director, I love setting the terms right away. You set the terms right away. Listen, I'm one of you. I happen to be on stage and it looks all sexy, but let me tell you about this thing over here. You're all looking at it too. Let's talk about it. I mean, I like that. I feel like everything about you, Jake, in every aspect of what you do, whether again, it's wearing the hat as a producer, an MC, an engineer, a DJ, you are inviting people in on the conversation. You're not talking at.
Yeah, I've never wanted to be that way. I mean, I've always, and that's part of why in a lot of my humor and presentation, I do use a lot of self-deprecation. Like the joke is always at my expense first before it's at anybody else's. But I try to use that as an icebreaker as well to make people feel comfortable, because, you know, I've been that nerd, I've been the outcast, I've been the weirdo, I've been the, you know, the person who stuck out like a sore thumb. And, you know, over the years, I developed an ability to kind of project myself and, you know, make people accept me on my terms at face value. But I think back to when I didn't have the confidence to do that kind of stuff. And, you know, I would like to be some kind of example, you know, for other people who might be afraid to, you know, just call it how they see it, basically. But yeah, no, that's a good observation, because I've never, ever wanted to come across as, you know, being too cool for the audience. My audience has been picked up, you know, DIY, one fan at a time over the years. And, you know, I never had a big label behind me or anything like that.
It's so interesting you mentioned that. Sorry to interrupt. In my research of you these past few weeks, the saying that keeps coming back to me comes from one of my favorite movies, Field of Dreams. And yes, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, that was the thing, was that having picked up that audience, you know, organically and through genuine conversation and interaction and providing them with content and things like that, the numbers, you know, in mass might be a little bit smaller, but like it's so secure.
It's quality, not
it's quality. Because, you know, I might have, you know, I think my Instagram followers are maybe 10K, but just about all of those people are going to buy a t-shirt, buy a CD, come to a show, you know, will support in some way. And, you know, I've always felt like it was better to have a small dedicated army of people who really genuinely care about what you do, as opposed to having hundreds of thousands of just vanity metrics. You know, you only need 10,000 fans to feel like a rock star if those 10,000 fans are engaging with you on a daily basis, you know. So
Amen, Jake. Listen, I could speak with you forever. And before I ask you my last question, I want to remind people for more on the incredible Jake Palumbo. You could read more about him right below this video. Jake, obviously this has been a time for all humans and artists. That's, you know, it's been tough. I'm curious to know, okay, it's a little twofold. One, what you've been able to do as a creative artist during this time to keep your juices flowing. But I also want you to parlay into a little bit about this brainchild of yours called Space Lab. Speak a little bit about it, if you don't mind, while also answering the first question that has nothing to do with Space Lab.
That's okay. Well, actually, I'll answer the second question first, because it's a segue into the first one. You know, Space Lab Recordings was founded in my bedroom in Johnson City, Tennessee, when I was a kid, you know, out of high school, basically. Again, growing up in Tennessee, where we didn't have a music industry, we didn't have record labels nearby, we didn't have any of that stuff. I never really had any kind of illusion that, you know, I was going to run around and try to get signed. Like, I've always wanted to have my own imprint, to make and release my own music. I've seen the DIY blueprint work for a lot of other labels, both in hip hop and even in genres like punk rock, where they would make their own merch and tour and, you know, do the whole 9 yards. So, you know, for 15 years now, which 14 of those I've been in Brooklyn, New York. You know, I did eventually have to leave Tennessee to, you know, break into the business a bit, but, you know, I've made and released my own music as well as music I've produced for other artists. In 15 years, Space Lab Recordings has released about almost 50 titles altogether. Now, the flip side of that coin is that Space Lab Recordings is also the recording studio wing of my business. You know, a lot of people, some people don't even know me for my music at all. They know me for my day job, for lack of a better term, as a studio engineer. You know, I've owned and operated my own studio in New York City for 11 years now. So, like, lots of people have had their music recorded and mixed at Space Lab. But to answer your first question, when the pandemic first hit, you know, like anybody, obviously I was very nervous. It ended up being somewhat of a blessing in disguise, because I stayed booked and busy the entire time. And that was because, being that the world was shut down, more artists were making music. Like, by suddenly having all this free time on their hands, you know, people were recording entire albums at home. And even if they didn't physically come to the studio, which you know, with COVID, I did have to, you know, implement some safety measures and had to keep my sessions small and Lysol in between everybody and all that. But even if people were recording it at home and sending it to me to mix and master, a lot of music got made last year. And as a result, you know, even I myself was able to, you know, I made an instrumental album in a week just on a creative whim and released it. So the upside to it, obviously, you know, my whole tour got canceled, like the entire live show industry got devastated. But, you know, the silver lining was that the studio stayed very busy. And to bring it all home, you know, I spent so many years as a freelance, independent, creative entrepreneur with people telling me, well, when are you going to get a real job? That's not stable. How long are you going to do this? And then 15 years into that, when the whole world shuts down and everybody is out of work, who's still going to work every day?
Yeah,
you know?
I couldn't have said it better myself. And like you say on your website and often, ladies and gentlemen, Jake Palumbo is the perfect example. When you Jake it till you make it. Mr. Jake Palumbo, I'm so grateful for the time you took today to speak with me. And I also just want to remind you as well, even though you probably know this, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for providing a safe space for maybe the misfits out there. You're talking to one of them, or the kids out there who might seem like they feel like a little left of center. Look what you can do, kids, when you commit to your dream and your bliss, and you create a safe space, in your case, Jake, both on the stage and in the studio, for artists of all types, of all genres, of all creeds. God bless you, and really thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I really appreciate that.
Well, listen, you're talking to someone born in Brooklyn who has the Brooklyn Bridge in their Manhattan apartment. So from one Brooklynite to another, I only speak the truth, my friend.
Word. That's a wonderful note.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.